gather around the fire for a nice long chat. And not about something serious or something sad, just about Switch franchises and ones that haven't popped up, ones that have already popped up, and what we think is going to happen with these going forward. So what's going on, everybody? It's Zach from SwitchForce. Welcome to a big future of Switch discussion here. Found this interesting graphic over on the r/Nintendo Switch Reddit thread, and they basically comprise all the big Nintendo franchises that already have games on Switch, ones that have a remake or a remaster, games that had something on 3DS or Wii U, and then ones that haven't got something since before 3DS and Wii U. So that's a long time. We'll start with the top, and feel free to comment on ones that surprise you, ones that you think deserve less entries, ones that you think deserve more entries, ones that you really want to see come back for the Switch 2, etc., etc. Obviously, the heavy hitters are all here. The Marios, the Zeldas, the Pokemons, Animal Crossing. Although I will say that I think Nintendo appropriately used Mario, Zelda, and Pokemon, but underused Animal Crossing this generation. Smash Brothers and sports. Love that the franchise is just sports. Mario Maker got an entry, Hyrule Warriors. Pokemon Snap is a surprise. Splatoon got 2 major entries, more than 3D Mario, which is pretty crazy. Metroid got an entry with Metroid Dread. Cruisin', Luigi's Mansion, 2. Fire Emblem, 2. And 3, I guess, if you count Warriors. Detective Pikachu, Kirby, Metroid Prime is still coming. Brain Age, Yoshi. There's Fire Emblem Warriors. Pikmin, Kirby Fighters, F-Zero. Sort of. I don't know that F-Zero 99 is a new game, but to me that doesn't really, I don't know if that qualifies it for this list here. Big Brain Academy, Paper Mario, 2. Xenoblade Chronicles, WarioWare, 2. Box Boy, Bayonetta, Clubhouse Games, Mario Party, Mario Golf, Mario Tennis, Mario and Sonic Olympic Games, Super Mario Strikers, a nice big surprise, and Picross. So many of these franchises will be back for Switch 2, and many of them will be back early, and many of them will be back often. I guess the only thing I want to say about this group here is that I do think there's some of these that will not return on Switch 2. It's just my prediction, not like going off some insider. I don't think Mario Maker is going to return on Switch 2. I think they've kind of tapped out what they can and want to do there. I also don't think Pokemon Snap will return on Switch 2. I think that was throwing us a bone, a really nice camera-shaped bone. I think Animal Crossing is going to expand its amount of games in the next generation. And I think Mario will as well, maybe not on the sports side as we see golf, tennis, and strikers represented, but I think on like the 3D side. Some of the others like Cruisin', Brain Age, Big Brain Academy, Clubhouse Games, I don't know if those will be back either, but I could see it happening. If the Switch 2 is anywhere near as popular as the Switch 1, they're going to want to get out a bunch of games that appeal to a wide audience and kind of can fit into any household. Now, a series with only a remake, remaster, or re-release on the Switch is a small but interesting list. Mario vs. DK is not out yet. Mario Kart sure does not feel it. Mario Kart is one of the biggest games on Switch, and with all of the Course Booster Pass content, I guess it's a remaster, right? Like, I guess that's additional remastered content, although some might consider the Course Booster Pass to be like a separate game, or at least separate DLC. Donkey Kong got Tropical Freeze, which is a port. It's a re-release. To me, that's the biggest bummer. To me, the biggest bummer is if we do not get a Donkey Kong game on this Switch, even if one comes in Switch 2, I think that's just a glaring omission from Nintendo and maybe the most egregious omission. Obviously, there's a lot of franchises here that did not hit Switch yet, but DK to me feels like the biggest misstep. Famicom Detective Club somehow got re-released on Switch. Another code just came out. Pokemon Mystery Dungeon got a re-release, Baton Kaitos, and Advance Wars. None of these are like, oh, they should have got a big full one to me, except Donkey Kong. Mario Kart probably would have if 8 Deluxe did not go as gangbusters as it did. 50, 60 million copies, you don't need a new game. So that kind of set the course, and I think Nintendo would have absolutely done a Mario Kart 9 on Switch if it did not just wreck the plans. Wreck is strong, because we did get the Course Booster Pass. We did see them, double up on the courses, which is pretty cool. Series with their last game on the 3DS or Wii U is interesting because this goes for about a decade, from 2011 to 2019. Now, most of these are smaller franchises that I do not expect to be back, although some of them I do think could see a return, and I hope that they do. I'm going to pick one out from the bottom of the list here, which is Nintendogs. I am surprised that Nintendogs did not get a Switch release, as I feel that would be a perfect $50 Switch game that could have appealed to the Animal Crossing audience once Nintendo stopped updating that title. It also could have just appealed to a different audience, a younger audience, and given the Switch Lite out there and the reduced price of this console, I'm just surprised they didn't try it. Now, Star Fox, I think Star Fox comes back, absolutely. Maybe they have to change genres, maybe they have to try and reinvent things, but Star Fox is too popular to be gone permanently. It's weird that it wasn't on Switch. To me, DK and Star Fox are the two biggest omissions, but I give the edge at DK because I think that style of gameplay is more relevant today, and Donkey Kong as a character just has a lot more popularity in the Mario Bros. Movie, in Super Nintendo World, etc. Kid Icarus Uprising, we kind of had rumors about this game coming to Switch. It hasn't. Maybe it does in the future. I don't know that I see a new Kid Icarus, though. Pushmo should absolutely get a new eShop game. Rhythm Heaven, I think, should as well. Fossil Fighters, I don't see that having legs, nor Steel Diver. Tomodachi Life will be back. I do believe that Tomodachi Life will be back. Pokemon Rumble, no. Pokemon Troise, weirdest name ever, no. Chibi Robo is like a take it or leave it for me. The fact that another code came back says like any of these honestly can come back. But Chibi Robo, more than like Steel Diver or Fossil Fighters, but less than Star Fox or Kid Icarus, I think. Mario and Luigi is really interesting to me. Mario and Luigi is effectively shuttered because Alpha Dream, the studio that wonderfully developed those games, is gone. But Nintendo has shown a commitment to the RPG side of Mario with Paper Mario and the Origami King, with the upcoming Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door remaster remake, with releasing games on the Virtual Console NSO, and with bringing Mario RPG back for its own remaster remake. I don't know if it would be a remaster remake, but I think there is plenty to still harvest from the Mario and Luigi franchise. And if Nintendo wanted to be really crazy, they converted to a Wario and Waluigi franchise. That is a round of applause from me and would be absolutely brilliant. Maybe that's too quirky for Nintendo, and maybe they don't think Wario and Waluigi could sell a whole game, but I think they absolutely could. Mario and Luigi, on the other hand, that absolutely would be a seller. I know those games were handheld titles, but we've seen plenty of handheld titles make the crossover. They could expand it. They could 3Dify the graphics like they did with Mario RPG. There's plenty of options. They could remaster, but I really think the best case here would be a brand new big game in a couple of years after sort of Mario RPG, Thousand Year Door prep an audience for more of this style of gameplay for Mario. Dr. Mario will be back in some capacity, maybe like a Dr. Mario 99. Wii Party, I don't know. Wii Party probably is just a thing of its time. Art Academy, don't think so. NES Remix, I don't think NES Remix will be back, even though it was super cool, because we have NSO, right? We have the NES app, so I think that's kind of counterproductive to them selling online subscriptions. Pilot Wings could come back, but I think it would have to be rethought. And we talked about Nintendog's Fluidity not coming back. Style Savvy, I'm surprised Style Savvy was not released alongside Nintendog's. That could come back as well, I think. Now, this is interesting because here is the big list of franchises that have not gotten new installments in 13 years. Criminally 13 years. And some of them, we can just throw off, like Battle Clash, Poke Park. I don't think Doshin the Giant is going to make a return. What does that say? Football, play action football? Yeah, no. Punch-Out should come back. Punch-Out had a prime audience on the Switch to sort of see if it could find a footing. We saw the Switch be utilized for a number of smaller franchises. If we go back to the list at the top, games like Bayonetta capitalized on the Switch audience. Games like Pikmin capitalized on the Switch audience. Games like Pokemon Snap capitalized on a large Switch audience. Games like Metroid. So it would have been a great time to release Punch-Out. Kind of surprised that they didn't do it. Golden Sun just popped on the GBA Virtual Console, both games. We're going to have to see in the next generation if there's any correlation between the games that Nintendo focuses on for their online releases, if there's any breadcrumb trail we can trace towards sort of those online games, and I would include F-Zero 99 in that, towards new releases in the next generation. I'd love to say I think Golden Sun makes a comeback, but if I had to predict right now, I would say no. I think it's probably something that is just stuck on the GBA app and probably does not see a new entry. I think if Nintendo's going to go RPG, they're going to opt for Mario, as that it has a just much higher ceiling in terms of sales numbers and dollars. Kuroken Kuruin, probably not. The legendary Starfy, again, some of these games, if Nintendo had a handheld, would appear. I don't know why Nintendo doesn't utilize like a $40 price point on the eShop and make some digital only releases. They haven't really been about that. I mean, we've seen some things like Box Boy, which did take advantage, but clearly Nintendo didn't like that or didn't like how it performed. We haven't got a whole lot like that. I kind of figured with the unification of the platforms, the pillars being handheld and home console, that Nintendo would take more risks on things like Punch-Out! Or Rhythm Heaven or the legendary Starfy in eShop form. You've got an eShop, many more people are connected, online is working pretty well. Why not take a risk on some games that you can put out, shorter development cycle, less pressure to sell millions, and put out at a mid-tier price point that can appeal to an audience who, has a $25 gift card. I don't really have a feeling one way or another on Starfy or Sin and Punishment. 1080 Avalanche, I do not think. Snowboarding's kind of done. Wario Land should come back. I think Wario Land will come back in some capacity. Mario Baseball will come back in some capacity. They've done tennis. They brought back strikers. They're going to bring back baseball. I think baseball, to me, baseball is the lowest of the four in terms of its most recent entry. I think was the worst. But there's always a chance to rebound. I thought the first Mario Baseball on GameCube was great. Pokemon Stadium, probably not. Pokemon Ranger, probably not. Pokemon Pinball, I'd love to see a new Pokemon Pinball, but again, until Nintendo is willing to tap into the eShop for some of these smaller franchises, they don't really have a space for them. And that's the bummer about the unification of development, right? There's tons of positives. Getting more games more plentifully, more releases throughout the year, teams, being able to take more risks because they have the home console audience as well as the handheld audience. But we do lose out on some more niche genres and some more niche titles that maybe can't prop up a $60 or $70 release. And Nintendo refuses to utilize some of the other methods to release a smaller Nintendo published game. At this point, I'd love to see Nintendo hand some of these off to other developers, indie developers or something. Think about how we got Cadence of Hyrule. Think about how we got Mario plus Rabbids. Hand some of these franchises off and say, hey, is there anybody out there that wants to develop a custom Robo game or a Chibi Robo game or a Wario Land game or a Legendary Starfy game or a Pokemon Pinball game? Because that is the dark side of smashing the handheld DS, 3DS into the Wii U and making the Switch. We lose out on some of these franchises that could have existed happily at the $30, $40 price point on the handheld, but Nintendo doesn't want to do anything with. Pokepark, no. Earthbound, I'd never say never to Earthbound, but I think it's unlikely. Custom Robo, probably not. Puzzle League, probably not. Wave Race, probably not. Excitebike, probably not. Star Tropics, probably not. Hotel Dusk comes back just like another code, maybe. Endless Ocean, probably not. These franchises, I would say most of these are probably dead. I'd say, okay, let's go one per category. Punch-Out is the most likely. No, Mario Baseball is the most likely to return, and then Punch-Out. From this category, I think Star Fox is the most likely to return. No, I'd say, let me change that again. Tomodachi Life is the most likely to return, and then Star Fox. I do think Donkey Kong will get a brand new entry, and I think most of these will continue. But what's interesting to me and what I want to point out is that there is room for more. First of all, many of these franchises are just riffs on Pokemon and riffs on Mario. Fine and good, your biggest properties, understandable. But there is room for new franchises. If we look at games that kind of erupted in the last, let's say, decade, focusing on like Mario Maker as a new franchise, Splatoon as a relatively new franchise. But other than that, I mean, yes, we can say like, oh, F-Zero, but it was F-Zero 99, so not really. Box Boy, sure. Xenoblade Chronicles, although that's way back at the Wii. I feel like we're lacking severely in new series that can continue and become fan favorites. There's one-off games that aren't listed here, things like Sushi Striker, things like ARMS, because those aren't series, right? Those are just singular games. Nintendo, I think, desperate's a wrong word because they're selling fine, but they are in big need of a new franchise. We see this struggle happen for all the platform holders. Microsoft can't escape the shadow of Gears and Halo. What is their new big franchise to last 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games? Sony's found Spider-Man, although that's kind of just piggybacking off of an already existing, incredibly popular worldwide IP. But otherwise, they're going to make more Last of Us. They're probably going to make more Uncharted. They're making more God of War. Where are the brand new series? Could you pull from one of these and turn it into a modern series, something like Golden Sun or Punch-Out, I suppose. But I think the biggest thing that this list shows is that the Switch 2 is ripe for something fresh. And even if that means you're taking Mario in a unique direction, even if that means you're taking Kirby or you're taking Zelda in a different style of game, we need a new series. I think it's fun to have nostalgia. I think it's really exciting that our parents played Zelda, we play Zelda, our kids will play Zelda. Animal Crossing can continue forever, that's fine. But think about all the new exciting franchises and fun attempts we had at games Nintendo tried during our youth. And I think it sucks that because games as services are so popular, because everyone wants a game that lasts a decade, and because it's a safer bet to go with remasters, remakes, re-releases, and furthering already popular existing IP, kids of today don't get a lot of new exciting franchises. Like, what's the one big attempt on Switch? 7 years, 120 million consoles, and ARMS is the big IP try. I feel like they could have made so many more new IP, and I feel like they could have really represented a new generation in that way. Not to say that the games that released weren't great, not to say that I'd trade like Tears of the Kingdom for a new IP, none of that. I'm just saying I think it's sad and surprising that Nintendo did not go a bit riskier. Mario Wonder is a risk, open world Zelda is a risk, but why not new IP? And I hope that the cash cow that the Switch became, the piles of money that they're sitting on, and the confidence that they have now that third-party indie support will carry them through even tricky first-party times, and given the unification of development, they have so many studios actively working on one console development. Take a risk. Bring out a new IP. I want to come back to this at the end of the Switch 2 generation and have some new series that started on Switch 2 and will have a life beyond Switch 2. Not like ARMS that came and went. And maybe ARMS does get another entry at some point, I don't know. But it's not looking super likely. I would love a franchise to come out, even if it utilizes already existing characters. Beggars can't be choosers, but something brand spanking new. And I would love a new Nintendo character, although I just feel like they're not going to do that, which is bonkers to me, because how did we get these characters? We created them. Splatoon is the last new character, the Inklings and the Octolings, and that was made, a decade ago? It's time for a new character, a new hero, a new friend, a new somebody for an 8-year-old to go get an action figure of. I love consistency, and I love nostalgia, and I love playing new iterations and seeing how these franchises evolve, but I'm all about wanting something new in the Switch 2 generation. And I know we're going to get our 3D Mario, and I know we're going to get a Metroid Prime 4 and a new Zelda, a new Animal Crossing. I want all of that. But I think it's high time Nintendo utilize their gaming chops to make a new series that can live on even once we, close the door on Xenoblade Chronicles, and once we close the door on Detective Pikachu, once we close the door on the Warriors franchise. Give us something new. This was really fun for me to do. I hope you guys enjoyed the conversation. And if you have any thoughts of your own, I hope you're typing them down in the comments down below. Pretty interesting to see what Nintendo utilized, underutilized, overutilized, and didn't utilize at all in this generation. Where do they go from here? We'll find out together. Until that time, stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, stay positive. Love you lots. SwitchForce out.